So it's Luke here for SimBoxx, like this afternoon, to be joined by the Glasgow Warrior, good friend of SimBoxx, Nick Campbell. Nick, how we doing, buddy?
Yeah, all good, Luke. Thanks for having me. A pleasure as always.
Absolutely, absolutely. Pleasure's all mine. So, Nick, how's things? We've got the fight announcement September 14th. We'll get into that. But how's things? How's training? How's life?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. I'm just training away. I've obviously, changed training and stuff like that. So it's been a bit of a change up. Obviously, going back and forward now between Jersey and Glasgow instead of Jersey and Belfast. But listen, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying working with Billy when we're in the gym together, and things are good.
Absolutely. So the link up with Billy now, is it your second fight together?
This will be our second fight together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And do you feel like you're coming on leaps and bounds with Billy? He's been around the game for some time. He's an astute student of the game, and tapping into that knowledge with the likes of Martin Bacoli in and around camp. You feel like your game's coming on stronger and better than ever.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm definitely adding bits to my game that I didn't have before, mainly through getting to spar with Big Martin all the time. My last trainer Dan was an unbelievable coach, but unfortunately never had the right kind of sparring there all the time. So having Big Martin in camp, being able to spar a top 10 heavyweight in the world, and obviously picking bits from Billy up on along the way has been unbelievable. So hopefully coming up on the 14th, I'll be able to implement some of the things I've been working on in the gym. I got a good 6 rounds in last April. Wee bit of a gap now until this one, which is frustrating, but that's boxing. And I looking to go out and implement what we've been working on in the gym.
Absolutely. So September 14th is the date. Glasgow will be the venue. Again, we've mentioned this about previous fights, but does it still give you those butterflies, that excitement, the adrenaline rush that, of course, the boxing brings, but the fact that it's in Glasgow and you're going to show out in front of your own fans?
I definitely listen. I'm Glasgow born and bred, so whenever I get the opportunity to fight in front of my home crowd, it's unbelievable. And like you say, the nerves are more from pressure to perform because you don't want to let yourself down wherever you go, but you especially don't want to let yourself down in front of your home fans. So I'm starting to shift quite a few tickets now. I've got a good bit of support coming. It's on the iconic St Andrews Sporting Club. There's a lot of history, so it's great to be involved in one of those nights as well to get your name up there. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show. There's 3 other great fights on the night. It's a great evening, like I said, with St Andrews. So I'm excited and looking forward to putting on a performance for all the people that are going to come out and watch.
Absolutely. So you mentioned there about the pressure of performing in front of your own fans. Is that something you like to manipulate and turn that into a positive to make you grasp that extra 1 or 2% on fight night and make sure you push yourself to the limits if need be?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, there's pressure involved in any fight. Doesn't matter where it is. But like you say, like to try and play up to create it into something in your head which can give you that extra 1 or 2%, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. I've been lucky enough to fight. This will be my third time now fighting in Glasgow as a professional, so I'm blessed that I've had that opportunity, and I'm going to, like I say, go on and make it 3 from 3 on the 14th of September.
Absolutely. So, God willing, you go in there and get the victory come September 14th, and you've had the gap since, I think it was April, your last fight. Are you looking to be active before the end of the year, possibly get out again before the end of 2023?
Yeah, definitely. First things first. I need to go and put in a good performance, but going in and putting a good performance in will hopefully set us up to get a fight before the end of the year, 100%. It's only September. I've still got 4 months left in the year. I'm fit and ready to go. I always train wherever I am in the world, so I'm always ready, to get to, tone up and tune up and get everyone ready for fight night, whenever that may be. So yeah, 100% looking to get another fight in before the end of the year after this one.
Absolutely. And Scottish boxing's on a bit of a high after the weekend. Just gone, your countryman Nathaniel Collins making a huge statement on his Queensbury promotions. Did you manage to watch the few seconds of that stunning knockout?
I did, yeah, I watched it. Listen, I know Nathaniel, he's a good lad, so it was, good to get in and see him do the business. I was chuffed for him. It was a great overhand right hook. Maybe he caught Hamza cold. Who knows? I don't know what happened. But listen, he said what he was going to do, and he went out and done it. done it on a massive platform, and he's set up another few big nights for himself. So, massive congratulations to Nathaniel and his team. And I wish him all the best of success in the future. I hope he goes on and, keeps doing what he's doing.
Absolutely, it's class of you to say there, Nick. And I was saying this last night on the Let's Talk Boxing podcast that with Nathaniel, it seems that he's gone under the radar somewhat. That he wasn't really picked up by one of the major promoters, and he's gone and got the British title, the Commonwealth title, and that was his Queensberry promotions debut. Do you feel, as a fellow Scottish boxer, that Nathaniel, that this is like one of boxing's best kept secrets up until he exploded onto the scene on Friday night?
Yeah, I think. To be fair to him, Joe and Sam Kinnock and Joe Ham have done a great job with him. Nathaniel's not a one-punch knockout artist, despite his spectacular one-punch knockout at the weekend. And his style is, that of a boxer. Sorry, that's my dad in the background for anybody who's tuning in. His style is that of a boxer. So they've got him the fights, they've got him the learning. He's a phenomenally talented individual, and he's went out there and made a statement on the big stage when he's ready to do that. So you could say success comes overnight, but Nathaniel's been at it a long time. He's been to Commonwealth Games, boxed as an amateur, done everything. So I think it would be wrong to say that he's an overnight success, but it's about taking the right opportunities at the right moment. And he sees these opportunities on Saturday night with that spectacular knockout. He's a phenomenal boxer, and hopefully maybe that's something he's adding to his game now, is that, one-punch knockout power at that weight. So like I say, good luck to him. I'm looking forward to tuning in and watching him in the future, and I wish him the best of success.
Absolutely. And if Nathaniel is somebody that's got the world title aspirations and big fights ahead of him, two guys that have been around for a number of years now, stalwarts of the Scottish boxing scene, the British boxing scene, is Ricky Burns and Willie Limond. They're going to be going at it on the 1st of September on St Andrew's show. That's it's quite the story that those guys are finally getting it on at this stage of their careers, and what two great careers it has been.
Yeah, listen, they're two legends of the Scottish game. I think Ricky Burns, arguably the best Scottish fighter ever, 3-weight world champion, boxed everybody, took Terence Crawford. I know he was on the wrong end of the decision, but Terence Crawford's just showed how good he is, and maybe that just gives you an idea of how good Ricky Burns is. Willie, been all over the world, should have probably had the win against Amir Khan if it wasn't for the dodgy time assistant. A real character, two guys that have given a lot to the sport, especially in Scotland, and it's brilliant for them to get that opportunity to go and go out on a high with a big show in Braehead. The Braehead venue is iconic. I can remember going back there and watching Scott Harrison when I was a kid, Ricky Burns, and latterly. But I think it's a great show. It's a great chance for some of the young fighters to come and showcase themselves as well. It's live on BBC, iPlayer, I think. The main event's on BBC. So it's a great night. It's great that those two guys are going to, get that big fight, one last big fight for them before they sail off into the sunset. They've had fantastic careers. They've been great servants. And another thing, I'm sure it's going to be a great fight when it lasts. I think we can expect fireworks from the two of them, because there's a lot of pride at stake there. Like you said, two Scottish legends, so neither wants to be showing up. And I think we're in for a great fight and a great night of boxing.
Nick, if I was to put you on the spot and ask for a prediction of that fight, could you pick a winner?
I know Ricky and I know Willie, so I'm gonna sit on the fence for that. But I hope they both have a great fight. It's a great night. It'll be entertaining, and I'm gonna try and attend. So I'm looking forward to watching. But that's all I can say.
Absolutely, I can respect that. Just swinging things back round to the heavyweight division. It's been busy. It's picking up. There's some big fights to come. There was a big fight not too long ago. Anthony Joshua knocking out Robert Elenius. In some quarters, he's coming for a bit of criticism. Some people expected it to be much quicker in terms of his knockout of Elenius. It did come in the seventh round, and when it did come, it was brutal. What did you make of the performance in particular, Nick? Was you impressed?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the problem is Wilder weight to mountain around. So that automatically means people expect Anthony Joshua to wipe him out and around. but that's not how boxing works. Listen, I thought it was a composed performance. He never looked in trouble. Maybe a bit hesitant at times. Not scared to let his hands go, but just maybe still he's working with a new coach. He maybe doesn't want to get caught cold at the beginning of a fight. So yeah, listen, it was a good composed performance. I don't think he really lost a round up until the knockout, and it was a spectacular knockout. So I'm sure that him and his coach Derek James it's Derek James, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can never remember the guy's name. I'm sure that they're working on things. There's things. It was obviously a late replacement as well, which then makes things even more awkward. So, it was a good performance. He got the job done. He probably could have got it done quicker, but listen, who knows what him and his coach are working on? That's between them. And it sets up the big fight against Wilder. Maybe he doesn't want to show all his hand before he comes in to fight Wilder. I don't know, but I think it's good for the sport. Him and Wilder's a massive fight. Outside of Usyk Fury, Usyk Joshua, it's probably the biggest fight to make in the heavyweight division. So, I think it's great for fight fans. It's a fight that I would watch. It's set up nicely. They both beat the same man. Both knocked him out with showreel knockout. So, it's good. I think it's a good performance. It sets everything up nicely.
Absolutely. You talked there, Nick, about what's good for boxing and the not so good. Of course, Robert Alenius was a late replacement for Dillian Whyte, who had an adverse finding in a drug test. We've had Alicia Baumgartner allegedly failing a drug test. Obviously, the whole saga with Conor Benn, Zolano Tete. Nick, as a professional boxer yourself, does this worry you that people are still trying to cheat the system? Of course, it's up for debate whether these guys are and girls are actually cheating or whether or not they're innocent and it's contamination or whatnot. People more educated than me could explain it maybe. But as a pro boxer yourself, does it worry you that this is going on so seemingly so frequently in boxing?
Yeah, I think it's like any sport. There's an element of it at every level in every sport now. And when there's large, vast sums of money at stake, you can understand potentially why somebody would choose to do that. Personally, for me, I've always been a clean athlete, something I pride myself on. But, the lines get blurred, I suppose, when there's a lot of money involved. But for boxing itself, I do feel like there needs to be some clarity, some kind of form of, regimented testing. There's too many boards, too many organisations, too many rules in one jurisdiction compared to the next. It's always going to be a grey area until they, get a universal way of testing people and sticking to it. But listen, like you say, it's a hard one. Nobody's got the perfect answer for it. I suppose with boxing as well, it's a dangerous sport. Somebody could get killed, and I know personally, if I was to take anything and then seriously hurt somebody, I don't know if I could ever live with myself. So it's a dangerous sport as it is. We don't want to see people getting badly hurt, and I think it's important as athletes that we try and keep clean. Like you say, who knows what the truth is with any of the things until they're proven guilty or innocent. It's very hard to pass judgment. So need to let all that play out. But hopefully the boxing world can come together and find a solution to fix this before somebody gets badly hurt.
Absolutely, can absolutely echo that opinion, Nick. And we'll try and go from a negative to a positive. And the positive being this weekend, we have the unified heavyweight world champion, Alexander Usyk. The fight with Fury couldn't be made for whatever reason. So the fight is his mandatory WBA challenger, Daniel Dubois, of course, from the UK. It's a big fight, Nick. It's one that's got everybody talking. He's nothing better than a heavyweight dust-up. And when you've got an underdog in there that you can get behind, that's a banger. It makes for an exciting fight. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely. Like you say, I think massive night. It's the heavyweight world title that's on the line. So it's interesting, no matter what sport you like. Everybody always tunes in to watch the heavyweights. Daniel Dubois is a massive puncher. Obviously, he's went on a little bit of a run since he's lost with Joe Joyce. Usyk's a different, kettle of fish. Unbelievable fighter. and I feel that the only guy that could really beat him is Tyson. So he is the favourite. But having said that, like I said, Daniel's a massive puncher, and at the heavyweight, it only takes one punch to sway a fight. So I think it's a great night. He's a Brit, so obviously we'll get behind him. I like Usyk as well. I'll be honest. I think he's a tremendous fighter, a great character, obviously. So yeah, it's a great night for me as a fan. Watching, you can't really lose. It's a good night to tune in and watch, and it makes things interesting. So I think it's a good fight, big puncher against a very technically skilled boxer, and it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
Absolutely, and I think, as much as we like we say we're going to back the Brit as we always do, it's also a special moment for Usyk after winning all these cruiserweight titles on the road, defeating all these champions around different parts of Europe in the champion's home town usually, and then he's beat Anthony Joshua in the UK. He's beat him out in Saudi. So I think this is as close as a homecoming as he's going to get to, given that the troubles in Ukraine, and this town, this city that he's in Poland, is highly populated with Ukrainians. So a special moment for him that he's going to have around 40,000 of his hometown fans there cheering him on.
Yeah, I think nobody would disagree with me that the guy deserves it. He's been a proper road warrior. He's been everywhere, beat everyone, world-class fighters as well. And this is his opportunity. Like you say, with everything going on in Ukraine, it's probably going to, bring a lot of strength and hope to the people of Ukraine as well. So for me, I'm pretty pleased that he's getting the opportunity to fight in front of a lot of Ukrainians. It's a great thing for their country. It's, morale will be boosted, everything will be boosted. So yeah, I think as a neutral looking at from the outside in, the guy deserves it. He's an unbelievable fighter. This will probably be, like you say, as close as he gets to a homecoming. So I think it's brilliant.
Absolutely. And the other heavyweight champion, the WBC title holder, Tyson Fury, is of course scheduled to take on former UFC heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou, who will be making his professional boxing debut against arguably the best heavyweight boxer on the planet. Nick, where do you sit with this? Are you thinking that the active heavyweight world champion should be fighting a boxer? Are you happy to see Tyson Fury go and get what will be a monster payday? Are you kind of in the middle? Like, what's your opinion on the fight as an event first?
Yeah, I think it's Francis Ngannou's probably got one of the best highlight reels in combat sports. I don't think he'll lay a glove on Tyson. It's two different sports. I think Tyson's going to annihilate him or carry him to the later rounds, then stop him. I'm not really too sure. But listen, when somebody offers you £50 million to fight, you don't say no. So I can't really judge Tyson on what it's an unbelievable amount of money. Francis Ngannou's getting an unbelievable amount of money. I think the only fights left for Tyson is the Joshua fight and the Usyk fight. And if he can make a boatload of money in the meantime, fighting somebody that he's going to completely outbox, then good luck to him. I think the card in Saudi will be quite interesting. There's going to be a lot of different fighters on it. So listen, it opens up an opportunity for guys who are trying to position themselves in the world and get big fights to fight on the undercard of that is unbelievable as well. So you've got to look at the big picture. It's maybe not what the purest boxing fan wants to see, but in today's society, it's what people are going to pay money to watch. They're going to pay money to watch Francis Ngannou, who's a phenomenal athlete, incredible puncher, done great things in the UFC against Tyson. It's, of course, even if you say you're not interested, you are going to be intrigued to see what happens. So, I think it makes sense financially for both men. They can put on a great undercard and he can tick over until he gets the opportunity to fight Joshua Usyk. So that's my opinion on it.
Absolutely. Now, another heavyweight fight, whilst it's not up at the very top level as the two guys we just mentioned, but it takes place on the Eubank Smith rematch undercard in Manchester. Fraser Clark against Dave Allen. Fraser Clark, of course, with the Olympic background. Dave Allen, we know, as tough as they come. Some people are saying that he shouldn't be taking this fight, but it's on. It'll be at the Manchester Arena. What's your thoughts on that fight, Nick?
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I think on paper, Fraser wins. Olympic bronze medalist, I think he's one of the most decorated British amateur boxers. But having said that, Dave Allen's been in with some top names. He's been in with the likes of Dylan White, Ortiz, David Price. He stopped Lucas Brown. Dave Allen's no mug, and he probably fancies it. He probably fancies making it a 3 or 4 round fight and a war. And all it takes, like we said, is one punch at heavyweight to change the the course of the action. So I think it's a good fight for Fraser. Gives him an idea where he's at in the pro ranks. Like, the amateur and pros are 2 different sports. He's probably still taking time to adapt to that. But for me, I can't really see Dave beating him, to be honest with you. He's always got that chance because of the experience and everything. He's been a long time out of the ring. Fraser's been training now for the past 12 years at the highest level and sparring all the top guys. So it's hard to back against him. But like we say, anything can happen. Dave's obviously got one punch knockout power. Like we said, it's always great to have that in your arsenal. So it's an interesting fight. Let's see what happens. I think it's a good talking point. People are saying that, he shouldn't take the fight. He probably got offered $100,000 to take this fight. So it's hard, like I say, it's hard to turn down that kind of money. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, just the maybe the most exciting fight that's currently scheduled in the heavyweight division. Joe Joyce will look to gain revenge against Zhilei Zhang. He was stopped in a dramatic fashion last time out with a horrendous eye injury. He was losing the fight up until that point, which at the time was a huge upset. We all had Joe Joyce winning that fight, I think. I can only speak for myself, but he was certainly the betting favourite, a heavy favourite. And he was seemingly the dark horse of the heavyweight division. He was the one to upset the apple cart, and he was beat by Zhang. He's got the opportunity in the immediate rematch to right that wrong. Excited for that fight, Nick?
Yeah, definitely. I think I actually think I was on here talking to you about that fight before it happened, and I backed Joyce. I thought didn't think Zhang was going to have the power to bother him. Just shows you what I know. So don't listen to anything I've said on this podcast. Just
stop the interview at that point.
But I think it's an interesting fight. Obviously, Joe has to go away at the drawing board. Fighting a southpaw is difficult. Fighting a big 6'8" Chinese southpaw is even worse. So listen, there's no shame in defeat. It was a horrendous cut. What can you do? I think he's a clever guy. It's probably, if he gets beat again, that's it for him. So, everything's on the line, to be honest with you. This time, I know everything's on the line at that level every fight, but everything generally is on the line for him this time. So he's got a great team around him. I'm sure he's came up with a game plan. He's another phenomenal athlete, big puncher, the juggernaut. So like I say, I'll be backing Joe. I hope he can go in and get it done. And if he does, there's probably some massive fights ahead for him. So I know based on last time you would say, how can you go against Zhang? But I'd like to think that Joe can go back to the drawing board, come up with the right game plan and implement it this time.
Yeah, fingers crossed he can go in there and get the business done. One that I meant to mention, Nick, that went under the radar earlier in our interview here is your old pal Steve Robinson. He took a loss recently to Franklin Ignatius. Is that still a fight that you'd look to avenge the loss, that one loss that you have on your record, and that the fact that he's took a loss, does that make it a more realistic fight to be made now?
Potentially. Who knows? Like I've said from the start, I'd love to try and avenge that loss with Steve Robinson. I back myself to go in there and avenge it. I'm not too sure what Steve's up to and what his trajectory is like now or what his game plan is, but if that opportunity arose, you can be guaranteed that it's a fight that I would take.
Did you watch the fight with Franklin Ignatius and Steve Robinson?
I didn't. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I heard one of my good friends who I chat to about the boxing, had a chat with him about it and said that he thought Franklin was just a bit too cute for him. Kind of nullified Steve's work and just edged the fight. It sounded like a close fight, to be honest, but it sounded like Ignatius landed the better shots, the more eye-catching shots, and like I say, just outpointed Steve. and was a bit too cute for him. So, but listen, styles make fights. Steve's a big puncher, I can assure you, and that wouldn't stop me jumping in the ring with him again and avenging the loss.
Absolutely. Nick, it's always a pleasure to catch up. Is there any sponsors, any fans you want to give a shout out to before we close off?
No, listen, just everybody, if you go at my socials, it's Nick A. Campbell 1. You can see all my sponsors, all the people that support me on there, anything that's happening. Massive thank you to yourself for having me on this again. I appreciate it. You like listening to me talk rubbish. I hope everybody else likes listening to me talk rubbish. But yeah, always a pleasure. Thanks to everyone who's coming along on the 14th. Thanks to all the sponsors and supporters who, helping me in the journey. And catch you all soon.